Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today has a lot of skills. She works with investors, does due diligence on properties, implements all property maintenance, and oversees the rehab. Plus, she hosts a podcast of her own. Marjeanne Fields is the head of investor relations with AZ Wealth Builders. Marjeanne, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks so much, Seth. I'm so happy to be here today.
Well, I am happy you are here. So pleasure is all mine. So to kick things off, let's talk about your real estate goals right now.
Sure. So we have a goal by the end of the year. We're looking to hit 1,000 units,
Nice.
And we're well on our way. We've actually currently got about 492 units under contract, and it's June, so we should be good.
Yeah, looks like you'll be spending some more time by the pool once you hit those.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I'm always interested to learn how people set those unit targets. So what prompted you to set 1,000 units as a goal this year?
Well, my group is a little bit different. This is what we do full time, and what we've done full time since day one. We started with a fixing and flipping background, got into multifamily because there's simply more zeros attached, and it's just a way to grow wealth in a more passive manner. So when we got started, we had big goals, and we want to hit 5,000 units in 5 years. So if you divide that by 5 years, it's 1,000 units a year. And because it's our first year, we're really gung-ho, and well, I guess we're in our second year now, but because we do this full time, we know that this is something we can reasonably accomplish with the team that we have.
Yeah, that's 5,000 units in 5 years. I like that goal. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned this is like your 1.5 years in kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So we started in March of 2018 is when we officially got educated in the multifamily space. We bought our first property in November of 2018, our second property in January of 2019. And we're closing this month on the property we've had under contract for a year. So we'll talk more about that later. Yeah. I'm sure you want to know about that. We also have another property under contract in Texas, and then another larger one in Atlanta. So we're moving right along.
That's awesome. So with your rapid growth so far, what do you think is it about your group that's allowing you to scale up like you are? Because there's lots of other people out there, trying to find deals and they just can't make it happen.
I actually love this question. I get asked this question quite a bit. And the reason that we've been as successful as we are is because of the team that we have. In the sense that not only are we experts in our field, we rely on each other and trust each other to do the jobs that we are intending to do. So my one business partner has been an appraiser for 19 years. And before that, she was a realtor. She's done mortgages. She's worked at the county assessors. Her degrees in real estate and land use economics. So this is a person who knows real estate inside and out. She knows how to underwrite. She also has really good broker relationships. So we rely on her to do her job, which is the acquisitions piece. So she's responsible for finding the deals, finding the lender, making sure that the deal is properly underwritten very conservatively, but still profitable in a win-win situation for every single person involved. She's great at her job. So we're able to find a lot more deals than, say, a normal person or a different person might be able to because of the background and extensive experience that she does have. My background is sales and marketing, so my job is lead generation. And I find as many investors as I can possibly find, and I absolutely love what I do. Thought leadership is another big thing. So with the digital background, digital marketing background, it's very easy for me to create videos, get on podcasts, start my own. So they rely on me to do that because that's my area of genius. And then our third business partner is a licensed home inspector and a licensed general contractor with crews here in Arizona that already fix and flip. So why not send this person with that extensive experience out to do due diligence, to walk the properties, make sure they're structurally sound, to get in touch with the contractors and to manage the asset. And we don't really cross over those lines. I know how to manage the asset. I know how to underwrite, but it's not my area of genius. So relying on that team is the most important part. And I tell everybody all the time, the way to create true financial freedom is to hire the experts around you that fill in the gaps of things that you're maybe not good at or not as good at, and rely on them in their area of expertise.
Yeah, especially in the multifamily space, that the scale of the properties allows you to bring in, people that actually know what they're doing. So you don't have to be a one man or a one woman show.
No, and the people that try to do that are usually the ones that, one, either fail, or two, move very, very slowly. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people really love what they do as far as work, their W-2 job. And that's great. If you're just doing this as a side hustle or side business and you want to do it on your own, more power to you, man. But if you really want to grow your company and buy a lot of properties and grow that wealth, then you heavily need to rely on a team. And the great thing about multifamily is, even though we're all technically competitors, it's the only industry where all your competitors want to work with you.
Yeah.
And so it's a great opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, we've had a couple other examples on this show where somebody loses out in a deal, and then they end up partnering with the person who actually got the property. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've actually, because Rebecca's great at getting properties under contract, we've actually had a few that we've gotten under contract and have actually sold off or given even to other people that we know, because there's no way we can take down 5 properties at once. Like, not right now, at least. Give me a couple of years,
Yeah.
So in that sense, even though, it may be our product, we're happy to share that wealth with other people because we found a little niche that we're really good at, and why not share with others who have either helped us along the way, or we just really like them and we want to give back.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned your niche, which, I feel is so important for somebody because the market's so big, you need to know where to focus. So how have you developed your niche, and what does it really encompass right now?
Our niche is finding properties, and this is kind of a gray area that I can really talk about. We find properties that do cash flow right off the bat. We're not looking necessarily for the heavy equity plays as much as we're looking for some value add, some minor value add, where we can come in and really take advantage of that cash flow. It's what our investors are used to. It's what we're used to. And again, when you do this full time, quite frankly, we need the money. The grocery store doesn't take LOIs or IOUs. Sorry.
I wish they did.
So we have to have cash flow so we can, eat, pay bills, things like that, which are good. So our niche has really been in the space of about 50 units to about 150 units, where you still need private investors, but the family office money and those institutional money, it's a little bit too small for them unless they're coming in as a single investor. So we've really found a great space within that 50 to 150 unit, specifically in Arizona and Texas, is where we really, really love.
And I'm not sure if you're finding this as well, but that 50 to, let's say, 75 unit property, you still find a lot of mom and pops there. And it's not really, a full-time team that owns that property.
Yeah, this one we have under contract just south of Dallas. When I got the financials on that, I called my business partner and said, well, where's the rest of them? She said, oh, honey, that's a mom and pop shop. That's as good as you're going to get. The fact that it's not written on a napkin, you should feel good about that. So, it is what it is. But I actually really like working with the mom and pop shops because they still do good business, but they're not so stringent. And when you're growing a business, not everything goes according to plan. Surprise, I know. So like in a couple of them, on one of them that we did, the very first one that we did, we had to get a couple other extensions because we just, had other issues, other things going on. And so raising the money was a little bit more of a struggle than we initially anticipated. And, but by working with the mom and pop shop, they were very understanding and they gave us the extension, no problem. It cost us a little bit of money, but rightfully so. Mm-hmm. So other than working like in one of our deals, we're working with very, business savvy, very organized property managers, sellers. And so on that one, there's no leeway, period, at all. So in that niche, it's a lot easier, especially when you're getting started, to find the mom and pop shops that are willing to be more lenient, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, you mentioned that your investors are used to, the types of properties you're acquiring with the cash flow right off the bat. Most people, when they start getting into multifamily, their biggest worry is raising the money. But once you start raising the money, you find out that it's actually deal flow that's more important. So what are you doing, or what have you done to allow you to raise the capital to acquire so many units so far?
Well, and that, quite frankly, has been a struggle. Everybody says have a good deal and the money will come. Yeah, that's true. If you have the network of people who are interested in that, right? So that was kind of a hard realization for me up front, because I literally started from day one with zero in my database, right? So the first deal that we had, we actually brought in a different group to help us cash raise, and that's kind of find out that's actually pretty standard in our industry. So we do that if we need it, but the process that we use, so we do a lot of marketing online, so like Facebook and a lot of networking, right? So anytime that I get a contact, I put it into my database, and then I massage that database through a variety of different emails and valuable information that I provide them. Same with Facebook, same with LinkedIn and BiggerPockets. And then once we actually have a deal, we send an email out to our investors that have provided us with a qualification form saying, hey, we have this available. Are you interested? And they will typically raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm interested. I would like more information. At that point, we start the trickle of information. It starts with very little, because when you're before you've done due diligence, you really don't have a lot of information. And then it goes into, okay, now we have the property package and we're going to do a webinar. We'd like to invite you to the webinar. After the webinar, they have a survey that gets sent out. Hey, are you interested in this? If you are, raise your hand. You go in this bucket. And if you're not, that's okay. You go in this bucket. So it becomes a series of steps after that, right? So then once they're in the bucket, we do the capital call. We call them up and say, okay, you promised me, or you said you were down for $100,000. It's time to pony up. And so here's the wire instructions and the PPM, and if they like it, then they invest.
No, that sounds great. And that kind of leads us to, what sort of systems or rituals have you developed that make you successful at what you're doing right now?
So I'm kind of a weird person, because with the sales and marketing background, a lot of us are what you would consider like an action type of person that, rules are meant to be broken and we'll redefine the box, right? I'm not that way in the sense that I really like systems and I really like processes, because it takes the human error factor and reduces it dramatically, right? Plus, then, again, with a sales background, if you're following a system, it becomes a numbers game after that, right? So it's so important. I think this is the thing that people miss the most. And so I use a variety of different systems. One of my favorite platforms to use is called ActiveCampaign, and it's where we house our database. You can do email marketing out of it. There's a couple functions I don't love, but for the most part is a very, very useful platform. And within that, you can create your own systems and automations, right? So the minute I get somebody in to that database, there's a process that they automatically get put into, where they get a series of emails, welcome emails, and then they get put into our thought leadership emails, right? So I absolutely love that, because those people become much easier to convert into an actual investor, simply because you've been in front of them, right? The biggest thing with marketing is you have to stay in the forefront of their mind. So by utilizing things like ActiveCampaign, and then my other favorite one, which is a little hot tip from a marketing pro that most people don't know about, it's called Meet Edgar. So Meet Edgar. It's like Buffer or Hootsuite, only better. So with Buffer or Hootsuite, if you have to say, okay, Buffer, I want you to send out this post at this time on this day, right? With Meet Edgar, it's great for busy people like me, because then I drop in a ton of content into the library, and I say, okay, Meet Edgar, on Wednesdays at 9 a.m., I want a general post to go out. And then Wednesdays at 5 p.m., I want a tip post to go out. And then it automatically pulls from that library, so you're not having to constantly schedule all these individual posts, right?
That's really cool.
But yeah, it's a really, really cool system, and it's not super expensive. I mean, I think it's like $50 a month, but it has saved me so much time. Yeah, it's a great little system to use. Now, there's lots of other ones, but I would encourage people, if they're really struggling on the systems with the sales and the marketing piece, to contact me directly, because honestly, Seth, we could create an entire podcast just on the systems and platforms that I use.
Well, we'll have to do round 2.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of people, once they find out my background in marketing, I worked with Google. I'm Google AdWords certified, Facebook Ads certified, ClickFunnels certified. So most of them really dive into that digital marketing format. So
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, you alluded to the deal. Well, I guess it's not really a deal yet, but like you've been working on it for a year. So let's talk about that as the Keystone Deal. So fill us in on this background.
So I know y'all saw me rolling my eyes, and that's just because this is like the greatest deal. It's like the fire party, right? The greatest party that never happened. This deal we've had under contract since last April. Okay, so April 2018. It's now May of 2019, almost June. Yeah. And the deal with this one, it's actually located here in Mesa, and the seller is located in Hawaii. Super awesome guy. We have a great relationship with him, and I have absolutely nothing bad to say, but here's the reality. Hawaii, he lives in. Island time is like a real thing. And he also wanted to do a 1031, and he was going through a divorce in this last year. So he didn't want to sign anything until that divorce was finalized. Totally understandable. We actually won the contract because we were willing to be flexible. So we won it on terms. We beat out a large Canadian conglomerate. Maybe it was you, Seth.
Ooh, maybe.
Just because we were willing to be patient. I mean, he's extended that contract. I think we're on like the 6th time or something. It's crazy. So not only that, but when we were first told about this property, we were told, well, there was a fire on the property. It was just a microwave, though. The microwave melted, no big deal. You walk in that particular unit, and it's floor to ceiling black. Okay, so now we have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, is this going to be an environmental concern? How much is it really going to take to redo this particular unit? And then we found out some other really fun things. There was actually 9 sex offenders living on the property.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Due diligence, very important. And so we looked really deep into that because we're going, oh my God, and come to find out only 4 of them actually exist on the property. So then we know that we have to go through this routine of making sure that that particular site removes these people as listed from this property. And now we have to go into the leases to make sure that when we take over, we can do background checks. The property manager has not been doing background checks. So we have to go in and make sure that, yes, we can do background checks and rectify this particular issue. So all that being said, now we come back around to April of 2019, and I get a call on a weekend, hey, there's a fire at Mesa. Again. So what happened on that one is somebody came in and stole the computer and the TV and the petty cash, and then lit the office on fire.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's actually not really in bad neighborhood. It's not even a deep property. It's just has really, really poor property management at this point in time. And it actually worked out in our favor. So I would encourage people, when you have fires, like, don't freak out. The first thing that you obviously want to do is ask, is everybody okay? Yes, everybody was fine. The seller actually contacted us directly. It wasn't even the broker. We got called before the broker because the seller is awesome. And like I said, we have a great relationship with him. And, he doesn't really know what's going on. He lives in Hawaii. Yeah. So it actually worked out in our favor. And we're going to be able to get some insurance money and get some money at closing because of this. So we were going to redo the office anyway. So at this point, it actually is working out really, really well. We're really excited to take over this property because we do have the construction knowledge and background and crews ready to go here in Arizona. So I say these things, and most people will look at me and go, you're crazy. Why are you buying this thing? It's because we know for sure that we can go in and fix it. The property manager that we are hiring is actually already on site before we're closing to work with this particular property manager to make sure that these issues that are happening don't get worse. They at least stay as is, and that the economic vacancy stays what it needs to be in order for the lender. So I would encourage people, you always have these really struggles, properties, but don't walk away. You really want to kind of see if you can't power through it and get really creative on how you can make it work. I know a lot of people operate from this fear-based mindset. And if you go into it and look at it, instead of thinking, well, why can't I buy this? If you start looking at, well, how can I make this still work to where it's still a win-win-win situation? Win for me, win for my investors, and win for your residents. It's a very important factor. So with this particular one, even though it's kind of been like, the property that I hate to say a nightmare, but because it's not that bad, but
Yeah.
Even with all the struggles, we're still really excited to go in because we know that the residents deserve the love and care that we're going to give it and bring it up to the place that it needs to be.
Yeah. So when are you hoping to close? Like a couple of years from now, or?
We're actually due to close on that one. We're getting an extension because the lender's taking forever. Oh yeah, the lender's taking forever too. 2 weeks before closing, they finally decide to show up and review the property. Oh. I'm sorry, I just keep laughing because I'm telling you, it's like the party that never happened. The greatest party in the world that never happened.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're getting an extension.
Well, once you do close, you should throw that party and have a huge giant cake.
Seriously, for the whole property. Like, okay, guys, it's over. It's all good now. Yeah, we'll be announcing that on Facebook when we actually close it. So, if you follow me on Facebook, or even if you don't, I encourage you to follow me if you want to know when that thing is closing. But it's due to close. It's supposed to close in 4 days. It's not going to happen.
So let me ask you this. So in this situation, because obviously last year you started talking to investors about this property, how have you worked out the capital raise side of this? Because, if an investor wired you money last year, it would still be sitting, not really collecting dust. So how have you guys worked it?
We do syndications. And so with every property, we do capital calls. And I haven't had anybody wire me funds that have just sat there. I would definitely find a way to.
Okay, so you didn't have anybody wire you funds when you were supposed to close like last year?
Well, we had them wire them to us, but then we put them into the deal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you haven't. I guess what I'm trying to ask is like you haven't closed yet on the property.
No, we did. Yeah, no, So like on the first deal, we got under contract, we started raising the money, we raised it and we closed and used the money. And then same thing for the second deal. I haven't had anything excess.
Oh, no, sorry. I guess maybe I asked a bad question. So with the deal that is supposed to close in 4 weeks, but it's not going to close, where the lender's taking forever. Right, where that one hasn't closed yet, how have you guys really dealt with the investors being like last year, hey, I like this deal, let me invest, and it hasn't closed yet, and then like they're kind of waiting around, or like maybe they wired you some money. Like, how have you guys handled that aspect?
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't understand what you were asking.
It's all my fault. I asked a bad question. I didn't.
Okay. I was like, what are you asking me? Okay, so with that one, we started telling everybody about it, but we did not actually take any money because we did not have the private placement memorandum finished.
Okay, yeah.
We had to get the lender terms first. We had to make sure that everything was going to go according to plan. And so once we got the lender terms, then we started with the PPM, or started finishing the PPM and the property package. And so basically once the seller said, hey, look guys, okay, I'm really ready now everything really started.
Gotcha.
Right? And at one point we were actually going to wholesale this one too, but it just didn't work out. So then we wound up having to go in and take it down. So we're talking in the matter of a month, we went from, okay, we're wholesaling it. Nope, we got to take it down. Okay, we need to raise $2.4 million and send out the property package and do the PPM and do the due diligence and find a lender and everything else in between. And so that's been my last month, is dealing with that one in addition to the other one we have under contract. Slowly thinking I might be a crazy person. But you just do what you got to do. Again, it all comes down to mindset. I could very easily go, oh my God, this is our first year. How are we going to take down 2 at once? But rather than looking at it as, oh my gosh, we can't, it was, okay, I'm going to grind as hard as I have to be able to do this and do it now, right?
Yeah.
So we actually have not accepted any funds on that one as of this moment. The private placement memorandum is still not 100% finished. I actually just got it in my inbox today. There's a couple minor changes, but we had to wait for the lender to really be able to disclose to investors, this is the real situation of what's going on with this particular property.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
A lot of people, because we talked to so many people within the last year, I mean, we had a lot of soft commitments of, hey, call me when you're ready for this. And I really am very interested in this. So it became a very easy conversation with people when we did have to then call all the capital within the last 30 days and say, okay, we're ready. And some people no longer had the money, which is fine. Some people had more money. Some people told me, hey, I've been talking about this with my friends for 6 months. I'm so excited. And hey, they're coming in too. Great.
That's awesome. And going back in time, all the way back to when you first saw this deal, what was it about the deal that really sparked your interest and said, hey, maybe we should take down this property?
Well, it's in our own backyard, which is huge, and especially in Phoenix in a market. Okay, so I'm going to brag on my business partner here and how phenomenal she is at finding these deals, okay? So we're buying a 84-unit property here in Arizona, in our own backyard in Phoenix, where properties are trading, the average is 5.25% cap rates. We're actually buying it slightly over a 7%. It's almost actually an 8% cap rate, which is huge. Without going into too many details, because it still is an open offering and it's not a 506C. I'm not trying to advertise anything. Here's my disclosure. Satisfy the lawyers. Right now, this is to be used only for educational purposes. Even if you were to contact me, I still could not accept you into the deal. So please don't take this as a general solicitation. Boom. Lawyers are satisfied. Okay. So it's like a 7.5 cap rate. And it's actually in an opportunity zone, although we are not taking it down as an opportunity zone project. There's a lot of restrictions and laws that go into that, and we didn't want to run the risk for our investors. That being said, opportunity zones are for up and coming areas. So we know not only the fact that we live here and know this, but we know that this is an up and coming area. It's also right across the street from the light rail, which is here in Phoenix is like a huge, huge deal, right? And a 1984 vintage. So it's not that old. It's in a prime location and we're buying it for a prime price.
Yeah.
Kind of a no-brainer,
Yeah. And with the game plan, just because you have so much margin there built into your purchase, are you guys planning on doing a refi relatively quickly at, like a market cap?
Yeah. So our plan is stated out for 5 years, but that's only because we want to overpromise and underpromise and overdeliver backwards. So we have a bridge loan on this. Obviously, obviously. And we're looking at refining and or selling in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because we've had it under contracts for so long, we have roughly about a $1.5 million equity from day one.
Nice. I love it. That's great.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this deal. This is one of those like game changing. It's just going to be super exciting, super phenomenal is what we're projecting and hoping for. So I'm very, very, very excited about this particular deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So getting into real estate, you're in your first year, let's say a year and a bit, doing this full time, but then before you were doing the flipping, how has getting into real estate changed your life so far?
I would say freedom. Before doing this, I worked with my husband, who I love dearly. He's a general contractor out here. And before that, I was always at jobs. And I love the fact that I get to dictate my life now. But that's what's important to me. That's my why is I just want to be able to do what I want, when I want, how I want, right? And real estate allows me to be able to do that. Now, obviously, we all live in the real world. We're all going to take appointments and have meetings and different things that we have to do. But I get to dictate what I have to do, right? If I want to go to 3-4 networking events in a week, I can do that. But if I don't want to go to a single one, I don't have to. If I want to call investors every single day for hours and hours, I can do that. And that's what's going to make me successful, but I don't have to. If I don't want to wake up, last Monday, I had been at a conference all weekend and I didn't really feel like waking up at 6 a.m. So I woke up at 10 and nobody's going to tell me any different. So for me, that's what was important. And that's what I really, truly love about being an entrepreneur, having my own business and real estate specifically offers, and multifamily specifically offers the kind of income where I'll be able to build that in a short amount of time for the rest of my life. You know, I'm looking to retire by 45, which is in 10 years from me. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Oh, I was going to say, I was going to say 20 years. You would never know.
Oh, I'll take it all day long. When they card me for alcohol, I'm like, yes. But, you know, I'm looking to retire at 45. I don't want to have to work. Now, when I say retire, that really means just, you know, do side gigs and stuff. But real estate is the only way that I've been able to find that can really support those dreams, those goals, those ambitions.
That's great. Well, Marjeanne, if somebody's looking to reach out and learn about what you're doing, where can they find you?
Well, I'm all over the internet. All you have to do is type in Marjeanne Fields. It's Marjeanne. Facebook, I'm all over Facebook. And again, Marjeanne Fields is on there, or our company, which is at AZ Wealth Builders 1. Our company website is azwealthbuilder.com, azwealthbuilder.com. And if you want to email me, that's the best way to get a hold of me, mj@azwealthbuilder.com.
That's awesome. Well, Marjeanne, just want to say thanks so much for taking the time today and sharing your awesome deal story and your success with us.
Thank you so much, Seth. I really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well on your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.